Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. We always appreciate you. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit of manufacturing today with one of the foremost thinking and most professional individuals I have ever met. And Arthur will get to meet him in depth today. So you get to spend time with one of my best friends in manufacturing. I'm grateful for the opportunity to introduce friends. For those of you who are tuning in the first time, thank you for being here. We humanize manufacturing on this show. The Gun Show is all about showcasing the people, the brains, the inspiration behind the products that are all around you, everything that's around you all the time. What makes your life easier and healthier and cleaner. And well, I think about the medical world as I get older and how much easier medical has gotten. And also the dental world as my teeth are starting to fall out. I'm grateful that we're not, doing old time dentistry anymore. Right, Arthur? I don't want to do that.
Oh man,
Uh,
yeah.
I even think about the small things like sitting on my couch, being lazy, not wanting to switch my channel manually and have to get up. So a remote control, we make all this stuff and cars and clothes and planes and trains and, all that fun stuff. But let's not dive into that too much because I get long winded. I get excited and I get on a pedestal and I just start jibber jabbering. So let's not do that today. But our guest is incredible. For those of you who are joining us and join us regularly, thank you for returning. We hope this time is valuable to you. We want to educate you, entertain you, have some fun. Please leave comments. We always appreciate comments. We want to interact. And if you have a guest that you'd like to have on the Gun Show, you think is worthy of sharing their story, by all means, contact myself or Arthur anytime. Arthur is co-hosting a lot of these events with me this year in 2025 as we've gone from the Gun Show to the Gun Show VIP edition, and now we are unfreaking plugged or just unplugged. Yeah, woo, there it is. But we are unplugged in 2025, so we can record anywhere, all over, trade shows, factories, open houses, digitally, or you can come down to South Florida and join me in my studio, which I love very much, and you're always welcome. All right, let's thank our sponsors super quick. Revelation Machinery. We appreciate you, everything you do, getting those machines to and from and everywhere, and everyone's happy. EBITDA Grow Systems, your consulting is second to none. We appreciate what you're doing with Shop Rescue and guaranteeing that you will give shops profitability of double their profits within 3 years. Absolutely incredible. The partnerships and friendships we have at AMT for IMTS are second to none. We love having you. Being on the main stage this year with my colleagues was just a beautiful moment that I will cherish for the rest of my life. NTMA, Roger, we love you, buddy. You keep doing amazing things. Being a part of Engage this past year, opening and closing keynote, absolutely honored. The folks down in Mexico, as we're doing more nearshoring and reshoring, we appreciate you as well. We're going to do everything we can to bring as many folks to TECMA in June down in Santa Fe. We got shop floor coffee just over my right shoulder, your left shoulder over the camera. And over my left shoulder, your right, is the American Precision Museum. If you have not been to Vermont, I highly recommend you go check them out. If you cannot make it to Vermont, I highly recommend you head over to MTDCNC and check out the video we did. So without any further ado, again, one of my best friends in all of manufacturing, Hernán Ricaurte, president at Ricaurte Precision down in Southern California. One of the most forward-thinking shops I've ever been to. Hernán, thank you so much for being here. I know how valuable your time is. Your shop is running around like crazy with growth. So for you to slow down and spend it with us, we are honored for you to be here.
Likewise. Thanks, Tony. It's always great to see you.
So, Arthur, you may not know this, but Hernán and I became best friends, just like the movie Step Brothers, a few years ago, when I had the great privilege to work with Matt Sura. And Matt Sura, for those of you who don't know, but I'm pretty sure you do know because they're incredibly famous, are the global leaders in pallet change systems. They were the first ones to do it. They hand scrape everything, every pallet, all of it. I've been to their factory in Japan. Incredible what they're doing. And automation is key. It's key to what Hernán wants to do for his future. It's key for what he wanted to do a few years ago when I first met him. Then I got to come in a second time, Arthur, and see how the Matt Sura was performing for him. And at that point, he's like, you know what? I spent an extra, and you can say the right number, Hernán. He's like, I spent an extra $100 million. It's not quite that much. It's like, but it was like 10 million. It's like, I want to automate everything. I want everything to run well. And so I went back in with the folks over at Datanomics, and we did a whole factory tour. We talked about the investments, what the future looks like, the growth, and that can be found on MTDCNC as well. So I just want to give you a a little introduction as well, Arthur. And thank you for co-hosting again. Hernan, automation. Let's just jump right into that. And not just automation physically with that Matt Sura I talked about, but automating through digital as well, because
Right.
you and Arthur are going to nerd out today. How important is automation to you and your belief for the industry as a whole, especially in a place, because you live in California, where real
Right.
estate can be damn expensive, and so can time and electricity and everything on top of that. How important is it to automate, but not just automate, but automate that when you walk away, you come back to a good product and not a scrap product, and everything that's involved in that?
Right. Yeah, no. Good point. Yeah, so we're in Orange County, California, which is even a more expensive area of California, right?
Yes, my
Um,
favorite part, by the way.
good. Yeah, we're 20 minutes off the coast. So real estate is very expensive and everything is expensive here. Taxes are high and things like that, but there's a reason why we're all here. And so all the more reason for us, we have to drive efficiency, and driving efficiency in every way, which for us also means driving accountability. And with regard to automation, we are trying to be as forward thinking as possible, thinking outside the box and making it part of our culture. So, whenever we get a job, whether it's a short run or a long run, we will try to find a way to automate. Because, like you were just inferring, Tony, if you're automating and you've validated the programming tooling, speeds, fees, and things like that, and you've got reliable equipment, the consistency and quality will be there. So as long as we do the heavy lifting and the upfront thoroughly, then we will most likely be successful and be consistent in the quality that we're generating. At the same time, just as you mentioned, in addition to the automation piece, right? That's, the nuts and bolts, the movement and things like that. But the data, I mean, we are spitting out so much data throughout the day from all of our machines, from all of our people, from the CMM. And, if we're not organizing that data, it could just be chaos, right? And, as they say, if you're not measuring, you're not managing. That is so true. So for us, finding a way to stay organized and not inundate ourselves with data so that we can't see the forest from the trees, but be smart about how we're using our data and making it another tool for us to continue to drive efficiency and to keep score.
Yeah, speaking of chaotic information, welcome to the inside of my head. That's what it looks like when you don't have the right tools in place. All right, Arthur, I'm gonna let you nerd out a little bit because I know how much this conversation excites you.
Yeah, well, I love that you touched on the automation, not just a lot of people seem to think automation for operations only, but you touched on the need to automate on the data side. So when you're looking, there's so many questions that are all coming. You're talking about that flood in your head, Tony. My God, there's so many questions.
Yeah,
But
welcome to my world.
you already talked about, short runs or long runs, you're always thinking automation. But my question is like, is this because you're a massive shop? Now I'm just getting to meet you, Hernan, but is it just because you're a really big shop you can afford to do this? Or have you done this throughout the growth of your company? Or
Oh, that is a
like,
good
what does that
question.
look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we're by no stretch a large company. Okay, we have just under 50 employees, and
Okay.
we've got just under 15,000 square feet, but we've got 25 CNCs in our area. So I background wise, grew up in Southern California. Was born in New York, but grew up in Southern California. But right after college, I went to Japan, worked in Japan, lived in Japan. So I was exposed to Japanese organizations, Kaizen and Gemba and all of that. So I have an affinity not only for Japanese technology and the discipline, but also an appreciation for use of space and accountability. Um, Great things about both cultures, guys. As we know, the Japanese are incredibly disciplined and structured, but sometimes that gets in the way of progress for them. On our end, we're a little bit more about, and a little bit rough, but that. And so when it comes to structure and discipline, we're a little bit sloppy, but at the same time, we push ourselves. We don't hesitate in moving forward. So trying to appreciate both aspects of that culture. But with regard to the business, my father started this business 38 years ago. And so I did not step foot in the business really until 8, 9 years ago. When I came back to the US with my family, my father was thinking of selling the business. I have one sibling, my sister and I looked at the business. We thought there was an opportunity. My father, old school, he was sort of in third gear. He was not really automating. He didn't really have that much of an appreciation for processes and procedures and things like that. And so that's where we saw an opportunity. So the first couple of years, and I've talked to Tony about this, in the past, I was spinning my wheels, because again, I was new to precision machining, to contract manufacturing, things like that. But once we started to get a little bit more organized, and we started to implement processes and procedures, that's where we were now able to gather the data and and prioritize which data we want to look at, how we want to collect this data, and how we want to make use of the data. So, flip the switch from 8 years ago where we really didn't have, AS9100 or even an ERP system. Now we've got, a digital ERP system, we've got a digital quoting system, we've got machine monitoring, we've got, digital software for inspection and quality and things like that. And nothing's perfect. The frustration is, you try to do your ROI analysis and things like that, and you talk to your team, make sure your team is a part of the decision process, because they're ultimately going to be owners of the software and owners of the output. But you constantly struggle with, are you getting 100% out of the software? And that's it's a challenge, but it's like playing golf. You can never be perfect, and no matter how much you practice, you get better, but you can always be a little bit better. And from a cultural standpoint, I mean, digitization is part of our culture, because for us, that's our only way to scale. We look at everything we can do. Not only can we automate, but is this scalable? Will this help us grow? And will it make each individual in the organization stronger? So, for us, the digital platforms are that. It's a platform to help us keep score. And so, as I've heard in the past, we always keep score. Even when we're bowling, we're still keeping score, right? And we keep score with our businesses, whether it's top line, bottom line, what have you, we're all keeping score. So if our team isn't keeping score, then all the pressure is on us, on management. And we need to share that pressure, share the stress a little bit, but also share the successes. And one way to do that is completely unbiased, is by keeping score. And so that's where sort of we see digital technologies helping us do that.
This is Shop Rescue.
Hello, my name is Peter Hancock. I'm the president and founder of Professional Employment Group here in Denver, Colorado. We were excited to partner with EBITDA Growth Systems. We really want to make sure we're successful, because if our clients are successful, we're successful. And we know there's a journey with talent, but also when times are tough, helping them get through tough decisions and bringing in other partners if we can't be the right solution for them. But if we educate them and show them that their jobs are secure, even with more robotics or more technology, they will want to stay with us and not be afraid to go into another industry. But we need to get them excited about the industry and show them that we'll hold their hand to bring them up to the talent needs we need. There are great partners out there in the industry that can truly help make your job easier and make you look more professional.
Well, I was recently. Go ahead, Arthur. You want to say something, don't you? You love this stuff.
Oh, well, I just wanted to highlight a couple things for people that are listening. I love the mindset that you mentioned there, where you've got to get your people on board in the beginning, and you kind of like brought it full circle, and you said, it's having them bear the weight as well. Well, when you bring them on board in the beginning, they're going to want to see your vision come true, and then they're naturally going to be like, yes, boss, okay, I get why that's important. Like you said, it's unbiased. Those are really key points. I highlight them because I talk to hundreds of machine shops every year. And it's not very common that someone in your role gets that actually understands that, and it makes a night and day difference in their operations. Absolutely just mind blowing. Such a beautiful mindset, man.
Thanks. Yeah, because I think it really is important. I think everyone has their own way, and again, I mean, our way is not necessarily the right way, and people deviate a little bit in the way that they run things, and there are plenty of precision machining companies that are far more profitable and bigger than us, and we have a lot to learn from. But at the same time, for us, yeah, I mean, holding people accountable and holding themselves accountable, doing whatever we can with available tools to help us make that part of the culture is just it's just so important. So we're very open with revenue, with gross profit, percentages of tooling to revenue, percentage of outside processing to revenue, percentage of material to revenue. Those are all KPI that we're very open with, and we share with everyone on a monthly basis. Just to let everybody know that we're keeping score, and that each individual's successes and input, it has an effect on those scores.
Terrible segue, but have you seen the movie Moana?
No, but please share.
So in the movie Moana, the big demigod has this like active tattoo that keeps score of all the battles he wins and loses, and anyway. So you got a point. I'm with my active tattoo right now, Hernán. I want to ask you a question that it is a fantasy world question, but I think it's some people's reality, and their reality, they don't know the world that you're working in right now because they've never jumped into it. It might just seem like a black hole of scary information that could, like, where do you start? Where do you finish? You already said nobody's doing it perfect. It's like, these games, right? Where would you sit? How would you feel, especially knowing the information you have right now, if tomorrow we said you can no longer have any of the digital automation that you've purchased and all you get to keep is your machines? There are thousands of machine shops out there right now that have no digital information, that are afraid to jump into the digital world. So I want to hear from you what happens if we took it from you.
I would sell the company. I'd walk away. There's no way, man. That's like saying, you're driving a BMW and here's a skateboard. We want you to get to work and back in 30 minutes. It's like I gotta give up.
Well, at least you're in Southern California with the empty pool, so you can skateboard around. That's where it all started, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess I'd have fun doing that.
Me and my silver lining.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And this business is not easy. So why
we need you, brother. We need you, just so you know.
No, we need you guys, man. And why make it harder for yourself? It's sort of like starting a job, right? If we're gonna make a run a part that's maybe slightly complicated or what have you, what do you want to do? You want to plan the job out well, right? You want to make sure that you have all of the key players involved. You want to make sure that you are putting the part on the right machine. You want to make sure that everyone's that purchasing is buying the right size material that the programmer wanted, that the setup machinist is expecting. I mean, there's all these little details. It's the heavy lifting, right? It's getting your skis in place before you slide down the hill. You want to make sure that your skis are in place. You're not running over any rocks. It's the same thing when you're starting off a job, and taking a couple steps back. It's the same thing if you want to run your precision machining company well. You want to take advantage of the tools that are out there, and you also want to make sure that you plan things out well so that once you get the jobs, or you start running your business on another level, that it's going to go as smoothly as possible. Because as we all know, if anything can go wrong with a job, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
And at least with digital technologies, you get alerted a little bit earlier. You can share that information, and you can, root cause can be, better articulated for everyone to understand and learn from. So they're just tools. they're just tools that are available to us that we should be using. And if, I'm not, I'm 55 years old, man, and there's younger people that are just like way quicker and everything. But damn it, I don't want to lose. I don't want to be, I'm keeping score as well on myself. But at the same time, I'm not the best at certain things. On our machine monitoring stuff, I'm not the best one, and I'm pretty proud of that. Proud to have other guys that are just more sophisticated, with the use of the data and everything like that. So I don't know. I just see it as the tools are out there. They're available to us. They're not that expensive. Take advantage of them.
I have a follow-up. I have a couple of follow-up. I have several. Again, the chaos of my brain. It never stops. It really doesn't. So
okay, we're done with Moana though, right?
Maybe not. You never know when Maui's going to come back. That guy's amazing.
All right. All right.
I don't care what age you are. Disney is still fun for everyone listening right now. Who knows what I'll do, Hernan? Who knows? I have the privilege, which I'm incredibly grateful for, to see manufacturing around the world. I have spent time in places that we would all consider countries that do manufacturing by throwing people at it who might not have all of the technology and resources currently. And then I've been to places where all of those technology and resources, they're the inventors of it, and then it spreads around the world from those locations, and we all try to adopt that technology. My question to you, ever since COVID hit, I would say we had a grand awakening here in the US. We always had an idea, a concept. We knew our parents or our grandparents, depending on our age, threw away manufacturing for something more cost effective, and we didn't really need it. We got Hollywood, and we could create some apps, and we're that kind of thing, right? And so we sent it away for a while, but COVID woke us all up. There's a lot of negative things, hard things from COVID, but this was one very good thing. And so we're it's a buzzword, and there's some truth to it as well. Reshoring, nearshoring, bringing it back. If we're going to bring back a small portion of what we sent overseas, and we know that the infrastructure doesn't currently exist, whether it's labor shortages and skills gap, or the fact that all of our foundries shut down, all of these topics we can discuss, and we will lean on places like Canada and Mexico to do some of this nearshoring. This is my long versioned question to say, do you believe that through the digital automation, through physical automation, that you can compete here in the US with the wages and overhead that it costs to compete globally with these countries that make products less expensively based on hourly wages, cost of living, and everything that involves there?
How can manufacturing help you? Well, it's taken me from a immature, aggressive, angry, ignorant young man to a director of global operations that has seen the world, written 2 books, been on the front of 3 magazines, seen hiking, waterfalls, things you might not ever imagine, and things I cannot share today because they're that much fun. What can it do for you? It can help you see the world. It can help you see the world, maybe not even through travel, but from a different perspective. It can help you take care of your family. It can help you take care of your community. It can help you take care of your state. It can help you take care of your nation.
Yeah. I mean, that I don't have the knowledge or IQ to answer
IQ
this
you
simply.
have.
No. But I mean, my reaction would be yes and no, right? Because I think that, first of all, the world is a lot smaller than we really think it is, and unfortunately, we all let emotions and politics get in the way of reality. From my perspective, I don't travel nearly as much as you do. I used to. I mean, I spent over 10 years in Japan and traveling to all over Asia, Latin America, and in my previous life, and so I really gained an appreciation for cultures and the way people do things outside of the US, and also had a new perspective on us here in the US, a good and bad. And so I have a real appreciation for many cultures and the way people do things. I think some work belongs overseas, if it's very, very simple and that, I mean, why not? And it's going to continue. I mean, there's going to be an ever flow of, this country or this economy or can help us in these certain things. But no, absolutely. The US dollar, right, is far too strong and powerful, and we wanted it that way after World War II. So that's a reason why we've basically priced ourselves out of being competitive,
That's true.
in a lot of things. But if we want to be competitive, knowing that everything is far more expensive over here, then yeah, the really one of the only ways is to continue to drive education. That's another one, right, Tony? That the workforce, education, the community colleges, the high schools, and all of that stuff. And and we are the best marketers in the world by far, no question. The U.S. is number one in the world.
We dominate
as far as
that for sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood, all the packaging, even Silicon Valley stuff. I mean, like we do it well, So why can't we do that for workforce development and manufacturing? And then also, again, whether it comes to medical device or what have you, the US is unstoppable in our continued development of new product and ideas and ingenuity and stuff like that. That's not going to go away. That's not going to stop. We get help from foreigners in doing that, whether we like it or not. I'm totally open to that. The best man wins, or best woman wins, or what have you. But yeah, I think not to go crap on too much, but I think yes, digital technology and automation plus appropriate practical education in the use of these technologies and the marketing that goes along with it in opening up that door to those educational opportunities and things like that are crucial. And the US, I mean, we've overcome so many damn things. We can overcome this as well.
Yeah, it's very well said. Arthur, I got one more follow-up before I let you nerd out again. Hernán, you might see a strategy and a path of this question that I'm giving you. I first asked you what happens. I first asked you to tell me about you and your shop and what you've invested in. Then I asked you what happens if we remove it all. Then I asked you, do you feel like you compete on a global scale? You've answered all of that incredibly, and thank you for doing so. The question I had before Arthur gets to nerd out again is, there's a lot of folks out there who see the digital world as an investment, an expensive investment with no return, or at least a long-term return, or no tangible return. Like when we put something on a machine, we see that material getting cut, a part comes off, we put it in a box, and we make money off of it. The digital world doesn't often allow for that. So let's convey to an audience right now who's on board with everything we've learned so far and say, here's what I've personally experienced in my return on investment, how quickly I get it, how much I make. Where's the profitability in making that investment that's not as tangible as a part coming off of a machine?
I would disagree with that question, or the way you question, or the way,
Okay.
you articulated that question, because it is tangible, and you
Awesome.
can put it on a spreadsheet, So, taking a few steps back in general terms, how much does it cost us to scrap a part? How much does it cost us to have an employee that, is maybe superficially kissing ass, but in reality wasn't really doing much?
Okay.
And
You've never experienced that though, right?
never, so, how do you see these things? How do you capture these things? Our time is too valuable to be walking around with a camera and a stopwatch. But there are technologies out there that can help us track this. And it's not Big Brother. Again, it's part of the culture. We're keeping score. And that's what, Randall and I are running around, making sure that everyone understands that in the culture. The fifth metric, is another thing that we're trying to implement. Are employees engaged, disengaged, actively disengaged? Our leads are measuring the other employees, but we're using the digital technologies and the score in order to determine that. So, I mean, everything from, the quoting system that we use, that we're able to capture and put, material quotes and OSP quotes and specs and everything in one location. And then we do a quote for 50. The customer comes back and says, oh, I want 70 and 80 and 13 or something. And like, it takes us like 2 minutes to regenerate a quote once we have it, because it's all digital. And not only that, whether I am involved in the quote and other members are involved with the quote, and we look back and see, did we make money? Did we lose money? Who quoted this? Why did we choose, these setup times and run times and things like that? So not only are we quoting faster, but we're quoting more accurately, and we're spreading that knowledge, because, the last thing we want to do is, have that tribal knowledge. We want to share that and make it accessible so that we're all exposed. We're all sharing our strengths and our weaknesses so that the tide just rises overall. So, I mean, going back to your question, I mean, with every digital technology we've got, we have found ways to articulate the savings that we're experiencing.
Very well
and again,
said.
when it comes to digital technologies, it's not that much. And even with a quote as well. I mean, if you're quoting faster, more accurately, how many jobs does it take to pay for the software? Not many. Same thing with machine monitoring. Same thing with digital ERP systems. Same thing with OCR technology in order to do automated bubble printing and in-process inspection. I mean, all these things, it just has changed our bottom line significantly. And because it's part of our culture, everyone is waiting for the next.
Amazing. Also, shout out to Randall. Amazing guy you have there.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Super
incredible.
fortunate.
Arthur, I've bogarted this entire conversation. I apologize for that. Any questions you'd like to ask, Hernan?
Oh,
That I would like to ask?
well,
Oh, okay.
No, he
Yeah.
would like to ask you.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So you mentioned it a bunch of times, the culture side of it, and something I've heard. I know we were talking about like the skills gap and all of that stuff earlier, but it sounds like you've actually like overcome another gap I've heard recently in the last year, is people talking about a lack of leadership in their shops, a lack of leaders stepping up on the assembly line, a lack of people taking accountability. You were talking about the engagement metrics, that fifth metric you're starting to put in. So as the head of a company like this, what are you doing that fosters this culture, that empowers the leaders coming up underneath, so that you can all roll out this automation and all of these advancements, so that they're, like you said, they're waiting for it? Like, what are you doing that probably most of the people out there listening haven't even thought of to take as an action?
Yeah. So I first of all, and taking a few steps back. So when I got into the business 7-8 years ago, I had no experience in precision machining, contract manufacturing, right? So it was embarrassing, but at the same time, oh well. If we're going to be successful, I gotta, I gotta expose my weaknesses and ask for help. So I visited different precision machining companies. I joined the NTMA, our local chapter, which has been fantastic for us. I reach out to our vendors and get help and their input, because they're running around at different shops all over the place. I get the opportunity to interact with Tony Gunn, and I every time I meet Tony, I mean, it's a million questions. How's it going in the market? How's this? How's that? How's this? How's that? Teach me. And so we try to get our guys to be similar. We're very open here as well. So, whether it's someone that is looking at, paperless parts or datanomics or, our ERP system, whatever, we're pretty open in allowing, quote unquote competitors. But then again, there's enough business for all of us guys. And just by sharing, it gives us a slightly different perspective on, yeah, we're doing it this way. And as we're talking, we're like, crap, why are we doing it this way? Wait a minute. It becomes an open discussion. So I think communication, networking, and being open is the first step. Okay. The fifth metric, we're working with a group called TPP, a TMG. It's the government is giving money to the Navy in order to support and build up the private manufacturing infrastructure. So we're taking advantage of that as well. So that reaching out for help is something that we do. We work with EGS, EBITDA Growth Systems, Dave and Mike out there, and in Colorado, and so again, I mean, I have no issue in asking for help, and I'm asking all the time. So that really, I think that mindset is super, super important, just opening up and being vulnerable. And then sharing weaknesses and strengths with our team, because if they see me a little bit vulnerable, it's more human, and again, guys, I mean, whatever we're doing, we're all human. It's a human aspect. We're on a team together. Whether the individual's with us for 1 year, 5 years, or 15 years, we want it to be a positive learning journey, so I think that's the first step. And then from there, it's just implementing this stuff and getting people on board and then trying it out. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes we have to adjust it. Sometimes we want to go in 100%. We can only 50% will work. We have to prioritize other things. But as long as we're letting people know what's going on, and whatever we do, there's ownership. There's no excuses. As long as there's ownership, and as long as there's clearly defined roles with goals, and we continue to keep score, things work out reasonably well.
Hey there, manufacturers. Need to sell your surplus CNC machinery? Whether it's vertical machining centers, CNC lathes, or machines from top brands like Yazda, Matsur, or Watchon, let me introduce you to Revelation Machinery. If you've never worked with a used machinery dealer before, here's what you're missing. Selling equipment on your own can mean long waits, low offers, and lots of time chasing leads. Revelation Machinery changes the game, bringing nationwide exposure to your machines. Their team is located across the USA, so wherever you are, you've got a local expert on your side. Revelation doesn't just list your equipment, they use targeted marketing methods to get your machines in front of serious buyers. Revelation Machinery is committed to fair pricing, full transparency, and taking care of the details. From paperwork to logistics and even rigging if you need it, they're there every step of the way so you're not juggling any part of the process alone. Ready to let a trusted partner handle the heavy lifting? Head to revelationmachinery.com/The Gun Show to see how easy it is to turn that surplus machinery into cash with Revelation Machinery.
That was a beautiful. Anyone, if you missed any of that, just go back and listen to him. Just maybe a couple times in a row. Maybe we'll clip it and just make it its own little standalone section, because it's what really stood out to me is the courageous vulnerability that you're bringing to the team. And then they're seeing that in you, and they're like, okay, if boss man can do that, I can do that too. They can step up, take that accountability, take the actions, because you're leading from the front. You're not sitting up in an office pointing them where to go. You're leading from the front. And I think they're just inspired by you, man. That's how you're getting everyone on board. I'm not gonna fluff it up any more than that. What do you think, Tony?
I mean, I've known this guy for a while. And one of my favorite human aspects or human traits in anybody, which obviously Hernán has, and I'd like to believe I do as well, and even yourself, is vulnerability. I think when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it creates an authenticity and a connection through transparency that allows other humans around us to kind of feel okay with themselves. And to do that as a shop owner, to do that as a management person, to do that in any type of leadership role, it immediately helps everyone around you feel more comfortable. So, I mean, those are my immediate thoughts about any time Hernán's talking about, the ability to be vulnerable. I think we as a society look at vulnerability as a weakness. I don't want to be vulnerable. I have to be strong. I have to build this wall around me, and I can't show my feelings or my emotions. But real strength comes from the ability to let people see through that facade and through that wall, and encourage them to be the truest versions of themselves also.
Well put.
Yeah. It must have been that shot of tequila I just had. I don't know where that came from. Have you ever seen? Okay, we're gonna do another movie.
Yeah,
You ever seen
I don't know.
Old
That's
School?
pretty good, dude. I might go watch Moana. I don't know.
You ever seen the movie Old School when Will Ferrell is asked that question? He's like, "Cool, what just happened?"
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah,
one of those moments. All
classic.
right, Hernan, there's a couple of questions. And author, don't let me steal from you either if you have more that you want to
Yeah.
pick Hernan's brain about. But there's two topics I want to cover as we get to the top of the hour that I don't want to miss. And of those two topics, one is we have to name drop a little bit Datanomics. I want to know, because I went in to see you a couple of years ago and we had discussed kind of what you were going through, but the years go on, we got to figure out if everything we said was true or not, or is it more than expected? We don't,
Yeah.
we never lie to an audience. We want
Yeah.
everything to be authentic. And if something isn't, we want to be honest about that. And then the second thing is I want to give you time, and I'll re-ask the second question so you can stick to the answer of the first one. But the second one, just for food for thought, is I want to make sure that we share a little bit more about what your company does, what you make. If you can support some people out there, drop your website, all that kind of stuff that goes along with giving you a couple minutes spotlight to let the world know what you're doing and everything you've built through your family coming back from Japan. But let's start with, we know each other through Matt Sura and through Datanomics. And I visited you kind of in the genesis of the implementation of both of those. And we have videos that are proof record that we cannot delete online right now. If it lives on the interweb, we're stuck forever. So everything we discussed previously, is it what you expected? Is it what you hoped? Is it more than? How are those? How is Datanomics and Matt Sura performing for you?
Oh, okay. So awesome.
Okay, next question. So tell me about your company.
Yeah, exactly. What, I can promote myself? I can promote the company? No. I mean, Matsura, the MAM and the MX330, I mean, is so solid, man. We love those machines. We love everything about them. We started off big, so we went straight to the MAM 7235 with the 32 pallets and 320 tool stations. And just the fact that we can load so many different jobs, the consistency. Okay, yes, it does take a little bit more time to program and tool up and get everything validated. But once it's locked in, oh my gosh, it's locked in, 2/10. And we do everything from aluminum to, stainless to, titanium, Inconel on those machines. So we test them out pretty hard. Same thing with the MX330. As the other technologies that we're implementing. I mean, we just got a large, Takisawa middle turn that we're really excited about. So again, my affinity for Japanese, affinity for Japanese equipment. As far as Datanomics is concerned, we started off with a different monitoring company, which is great and has progressed quite a bit. But we started off with the wire EDM, thinking, okay, we've got long runs. When the wire breaks, we're not being notified. We want to get notified. So initially, it's just we just want to be notified. And then we thought, okay, well, let's put it on Matsuras, because it's sort of similar. And then we were getting really interesting information, especially with tool usage and things like that. And again, just the concept of keeping score, started to build, and and then we put it on a couple more machines for shorter run stuff, because again, sexy, graphs and things like that. But then putting it on the 3-axis and some 3+2 and things like that, shorter run lathe stuff. We started to see, the guys keeping score, and it was easier for us to update our customers and let them know what's going on, and to have frank, open discussions with our customers relative to why we're quoting, why it costs this much money, because here's the facts. This is how long it takes to run your parts. And so we've gone from, progressively learning how to use the technology while Datanomics continues to develop their technology. What's great about Datanomics is that it could be so geeky and nerdy. I mean, you can just go on and on and on, but Greg and those guys just simplify it. They totally dumb it down so that if you only want to look at time and tool usage and how many tools you've used or what have you, you can do that. If you want to look and see, how you machine the part before versus now, you can do that with one click. It's just they dumbed it down so that I have no issue in jumping into any machine and seeing how we're doing. So we've gone to the point where we had 8 machines. Now we're putting them on all 25. And with our ERP system, we want those two communicating, which they do. So it does part count as well. And then also, I don't know how open this is, but Datanomics is working with paperless parts, so that ideally what we want to do is see, we quoted $50 a piece, actual is this, and if we can get that in an automated way, in a dashboard type environment, even if it's not every single step and you didn't get the saw cut on it or whatever, but you get the key setup and cycle times, dude.
Brilliant.
Cost accounting and things like that just gets that much easier. So yeah, I can go on and on about these guys and what our guys are able to do with the technology.
All right, buddy. Well, you've answered those questions. Now tell us, give me an elevator pitch. Nah, I don't want you to do that. Elevator pitch sounds like it's cheesy, but tell me about Ricaurte Precision, what you guys do, and where I can find out more about you, and who should work with you if there's people out there looking for a quality support of their manufacturing.
Yeah. So yeah, Ricaurte Precision. We have been in business for 38 years in Southern California, just under 15,000 square feet. We have different equipment under one roof. So we've got, twin turret, a Swiss screw, a live tooling lathes, wire EDM, 5-axis, 4-axis, 3+2 axis. So we have the palletized systems, and we have 12-foot bar feeds on as many machines as we can. Again, just to automate as much as possible. We run, although we're running lights out, we also have 3 shifts. We're running 24/7. And we service, the majority of the work that we do is aerospace, space, defense, and medical. Aerospace, space, and defense making up about 70% of the business that we do. So again, being here in Southern California, we do a bit of aluminum, but we do a lot of hard metals. So quick turnaround is possible. We do segregate machines for our customers, when we do get production. So they're assured of our capability, and we're very, very upfront and transparent relative to what we're doing, how we're doing things. Because again, the more the customer understands, our strengths and what throws a wrench in our schedule, the better the relationship will be, the better we will be able to service our customers.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Website?
RicaurtePrecision.com, RICAURTE Precision.com.
You are amazing. And I will see you again soon on a webinar where we get to dive into your expertise. Arthur, any closing statements? I know you got places to be, man.
Oh, man. I wish we had cloning technology figured out. So guests like Hernán, we could just copy them and put them into different companies, because manufacturing in the US would just absolutely skyrocket with that kind of mindset spread across the US. It would be a no-brainer. It would be so simple.
Is that the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Yeah. I need to introduce you to my wife, Arthur. Really, I really do. Yeah.
Well, when we put this online, you make sure she watches this.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen. Best. You guys
thank you very much.
Yeah, you're both amazing. Hernán, thank you for your time. As I always say, if you've spent your time with us today, it's the one thing we cannot manufacture more of. One thing you can never get back. So we hope we brought value to your day, value to your time, and we hope to see you again soon. Hernán, one more time, thank you so much. And Arthur, thank you for co-hosting with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.